So hello, everyone. I'm very glad to be here. It's so good to be in WikidataCon again. Yeah, I'm actually with Bodhisattva here at the room, who's also a very Wikidata person. So we have a big Wikidata crew here in Portugal for Glen Wiki. I'm going to speak a bit about Wikidata and biodiversity. And the idea is just to go through really a few different things that are happening in this space between Wikidata and biodiversity research. I'm a member of WikiProject Biodiversity on Wikidata. We are a community around the world that originally gathered around a platform called iNaturalist, and then gradually moved to other activities in the Wikidata and biodiversity world. So if I, okay. For some reason, my slides won't pass, but I will try once more. Maybe I'll just go with like this, if that's okay for you. Yeah, sorry. So the idea of this talk is to present an overview about Wikidata and biodiversity informatics in general, and what people have been doing in academia in that realm. Talk a bit about properties and projects and use cases of biodiversity information in Wikidata, and explain a bit about my time at the Biodiversity Heritage Library as a Wikimedia in residence and what we did with Wikidata there. All right. So in the field of biodiversity informatics, there's a big group called TEDWIG, the Biodiversity Information Standards Group, that developed standards for interoperability between biodiversity datasets. And many people in this group are also Wikidata people. They are connected and doing research about how to use Wikidata infrastructure to integrate into TEDWIG's platforms. So these are a few examples of people doing these things. This year at TEDWIG's annual meeting, we ran a session called Wikimedia and Biodiversity Data. I ran it together with Anabela Ploss, who is from Wikimedia Argentina, I'm from Wikimedia Brazil. And we had presentations from all over the world, many interesting things. This is the link for the page on Meta about the event with some more information. We had people from talking about modeling cultivars and food and Wikidata. We had people from the Texas Botanical Garden, from Yale, from the head of botany in the Natural History Museum in Vienna, all using Wikidata or Wikibase in different ways to integrate their collections. We had people from like seasoned Wikimedians like Shobhan talking about Biodiversity Heritage Library in connection with Wikidata. Sabine from the Museum of Naturkunde in Berlin, also with very interesting things on the collection side. Mike from BHL about round-tripping identifiers. Rod Page from, I think he's based in Glasgow now. It's from Scotland for sure. Also about using Wikidata to help Biodiversity Heritage Library, and Giovanna from the foundation also talking about that. So we had a good gathering of researchers that were interested in doing this thing. They presented stuff at our symposium. We also had Davna, who didn't present, but she had this really interesting use case for using Wikidata for modeling mountain biodiversity. And she kindly gave me these 2 slides to share it here. Here's her contact information if anyone is interested, particularly in mountain biodiversity in Europe. And they are using Wikidata in many different ways to represent ranges, mountain ranges, represent people and resources and species. So many different bits of their linked open data ecosystem about mountain biodiversity are using Wikidata. There are other people using Wikidata kind of a resource to connect identifiers and Wikipedia. So for example, there are these 2 papers worked to look how much species are seen on Wikidata, on Wikipedia, and what's this relation to conservation or citizen science. And in their pipelines, they use Wikidata to make these connections. So another kind of interesting bet. This is another thing that I want to highlight. It's just going to be just highlights randomly from the world of Wikidata and biodiversity. This is a very good paper by Sabine Shobhan Joaquim, who is also here in Portugal and is Portuguese, and Heidi. And they presented a very nice workshop at the International Botanical Congress. It's a super congress. It happens once every 5 years. And they were invited there to make a review about Wikidata for botanists, and they did it. It's a really nice piece of work explaining for botanists how they can leverage better their herbaria collections for connection with the linked open data world. They, for example, listed properties for taxa and how they can be used. They listed also properties for botanists and how they can be used. They listed Sparkle queries. It's a very interesting piece of work. And for us in the Wikidata world, it's a must read to know what's going on. All right. So let's now move from the research world to the Wikidata world. So inside Wikidata, there are many people working with biodiversity. Biodiversity school, it's fun, so people want to work with it independently. And there are multiple projects that cover slightly different areas. Like there's WikiProject Biodiversity, the one I'm very active on, which is more about connecting with other platforms and integrating identifiers, images, connecting with Wikipedia, and so on. Then there's WikiProject Taxonomy, which is a project that's involved with more strict modeling of taxonomy on Wikidata. It's making decisions about which species names go separate, which go together, how these things are modeled, properties for connecting specific concepts in taxonomy world, like basionym and taxon synonyms. So there's this project. And there are other projects with more sharp focus, like WikiProject Botany and WikiProject Invasion Biology, and of course the WikiProject Biodiversity Heritage Library. So there's space for you to explore. I sent the links in the chat. It's on Commons, so you can look a bit at this diversity of groups, communities doing things on Wikidata. All right, so this is how an item for a taxon look like. It's similar to many other items. It usually has an image. These images are pulled from many Wikipedias. They're short name. It's in Spanish because this is I presented this in Spanish in Colombia a few months ago, and I made it for this WikidataCon presentation. But yeah, there's the common name, and there's a whole set of different properties that some come from bots, some come from people. And then there's this thing you can put an image, and usually that's a photograph. But we also have a property in particular for illustrations, like reference illustrations are really important for taxonomists. So there is a particular property to add the reference illustration to a species of interest, right? This is one extra thing that we have in the biodiversity world. Besides the images for the species themselves, there are also properties for images to the distribution maps. And these distribution maps also find their way into Wikipedia. For example, in the Portuguese Wikipedia, many, if not most, distribution maps come directly from Wikidata. So by adding these images on Wikidata, you are filling gaps on multiple languages on Wikipedia about biodiversity and the distribution trends of species. All right. Besides the images, you can also add data to Wikidata for the maps. But then we are not talking linked open data in the Wikidata sense. We are talking GeoJSON and data namespace in Wikimedia Commons. So if some provider of biodiversity data provides a shapefile, a map, a GeoJSON, a KML, or something that you can put on a map and see it in a more interactive way, you can add that as GeoJSON converted on Wikimedia Commons. And then you have the possibility of having interactive navigation for this range maps for species. When I did these slides, it had only been used 7 times. So it's one of those long tail properties that are rarely used. But for example, iNaturalist has 100,000 range maps with CC BY license just waiting for an import. It needs some cleanup, but it should be like a semi-easy patch job. I just didn't find the time yet to do it. If someone finds the time to do it, it would be really great. I won't be sad. Please steal these edits for me. I really want to see this information more present on Wikidata. But if no one does, probably in 1 or 2 years, I'll find time and do it. All right. Wikidata is also a big identifier hub, right? For everything, but also for biology. There are 848 properties that are tagged as a property related to biology. That's a massive amount of uses, right? Some for taxa, some for people. And these properties, these identifiers, are used around the web. Of course, on Wikipedia, these are pulled by different kinds of pages, which show them them on Wikipedias in multiple languages. But for example, GBIF, a major biodiversity resource, it's the center of the global biodiversity informatics facility. It's a huge platform, and it uses Wikidata directly as the sole source of identifiers. A lot of trust in the Wikidata system, very serious use, very interesting. Other platforms that use Wikidata in different sense include the World Flora Online, that uses Wikidata IDs for authors to disambiguate names. Bionomia, it's a platform for registering where people have collected specimens for herbaria and museums. So here's the page for Von Marches. And the ID for deceased people comes from Wikidata. For living people comes from ORCID, but all the deceased people, and there are a lot of them, have IDs coming from Wikidata. All collectors, right? Okay, another example, as I said, this is a kind of going through quickly many different uses of Wikidata and biodiversity. The big platform for citizen science, iNaturalist, with about 300 million observations of species around the world, 3 million users, uses Wikipedia as the source of information for species. And to connect the taxon on a naturalist to a Wikipedia page, they use Wikidata. So they use information on Wikidata to make sure that matters are correct. This is a piece of the Ruby on Rails code that shows how they use hub.suforg.org to actually make the mappings between the taxon identifiers and Wikidata. Other platforms, so there's Expeditia by Joaquim Santos, who organizes information about research, collections, expeditions that went through countries, for example, Brazil, describing many plants and animals. And there's ScienceStories.io, which is a very nice visualization on top of Wikidata about stories of mostly women or people from neglected backgrounds, organizing Wikidata information in a readable way. And to finish up, there's BHL. It's a big library, digital library of public domain, mostly content about biodiversity. They have many, many images. Some years ago, J.J. Dearborn wrote this really nice paper, which you can access. It's all open source, about how Wikimedia projects and the Biodiversity Heritage Library had a match and could interact in different ways. And data was a large part of that strategy. And so was structured data on commons. And so they hired me about a year ago to be a Wikimedian in residence there. And there, as a Wikimedian in residence, I was developing models for this information on Wikimedia Commons. So here we have a swordfish, I guess, in an image in Commons. It has a NAM ID from the structured data on Commons. And we built a model to connect which kind of information it should have. For example, it should be tied to the species it represents. It should be tied to the publication where this image was published, the Biodiversity Heritage Library ID, connecting the image to the page on the BHL website. So this is a model. It's structured data commons, but of course, it's using a lot of things from Wikidata. And among different things I made there, one of the things was kind of building a pipeline to connect curation from different places. So BHL had metadata from librarians. Flickr had metadata from random crowd creation, right? And Commons Continue had very good metadata created by and so normalization data and to structured data and commons the end. And from structured data and commons, this information including web. And this is an example of an app that I made this correction. It's called the BHL Gallery, bhl.2forge.org. And then it uses structured data commons to kind of do this navigation. And that's basically it. The slides are there. I hope you find this variety of things very interesting. There are more things that I couldn't really cover here. And I'm excited to hear what you think about all of this and if you have any particular interest in biodiversity and Wikidata. And if you're interested in any of this, just contact me. I would be happy to chat and help. Yeah. And that's it.
Thanks very much, Tiago. That was very, very cool.
Oh, okay.
Any questions?
Towards the end there, the sound was quite choppy, so I wonder if Tiago could maybe repeat like the last couple minutes of the presentation.
How do you feel, Tiago? Could you give us the last couple of slides again?
Yeah, for sure. I'm sorry. I am that's the hotel internet. I don't have control of it. I have someone to blame at least. That's good. Yeah, sure. Let me share here a second. Do you mind? Can you remember exactly where it stopped? It got more choppy, or
anyone remember?
Last 2 or 3 slides.
Understood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this one. Okay. Yeah, so maybe I go back to this one. So this is basically the workflow I did back there in BHL. So my job description was to kind of put this metadata for these images in Commons. The images were already in Commons for a long time because they were open access. So they were in public domain. So people had built tools to collect this information there, right? And once the information flows to Flickr and to Commons, people start creating metadata, but these are siloed. The BHL information that was on Commons was super outdated because they had a lot of creation going on in the 10 years after the images got there in the first place. So my work was trying at different size, going through a system that would get the taxonomic names that were to these images, normalize them, GBIF, then again normalize and add this straight and this information could flow in theory back to BHL. It could be searched. It could go to editors suggestion. We did some tests with all of that.
I'm sorry, Tiago. We're having the same problems again. The sound's very, very choppy. I wonder if maybe disabling your webcam might help for the bandwidth.
Yeah. I'll disable the cam and stop sharing, and maybe I can just explain what's happening. Now you can hear me, or is it terrible again?
No, it's perfect.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry for that. Yeah. So when I was in BHL, I was doing this kind of connection between different resources. So information is from BHL is open in the internet for 20 years now. It's a 2006 project. And when this information flows to different places, in every place, it gets curated by a new set of collaborators. Like the Flickr community adds things in Flickr. The Commons community adds things in Commons. The BHL staff adds things in BHL. And we wanted to kind of aggregate all these different kinds of information onto Commons as structured data. So this was a big part of the work during this pipeline to kind of get the information there and then reuse it in different tools. One of the tools that uses information and you can explore a bit more, it's called the BHL Gallery, bhlgallery.toolforge.org. I'm writing the chat. There's the advantage of being here. And that's basically what that cursed slide was saying. And I hope that's basically it. So yeah, I hope that now it's clear and sorry for the issues. Yeah.
Okay.